Good morning, everyone. I'm just going to record a couple of sessions on pronouns. These could be more to do with your level from last year, especially this first one. So I'm going to do a quick revision of all the pronouns that you can encounter in Spanish, okay? And I hope this helps you a little bit in general, but especially to prepare for conversation for your Erasmus year, okay? I'm going to turn my camera off so you can focus fully on the screen, if it lets me. We'll leave it there. You can see my face. Anyway, so pronouns, first of all, I should say pronombres. Pronouns are words that point to stuff that has been said before or after, or they refer to things that are known by the two people speaking or by the reader and the writer, depending on the context that you're talking about. Just to give you an idea of what we talk about when we say pronoun, okay? In all grammars, you could find the word substitute, okay? In all fairness, they don't substitute anything. It's just pointers. It's as if, like, I'll give you an example. If I say the word yo, it's not a substitute for Pilar, but it's pointing to Pilar because it's yo. So we prefer the word pointing, okay? It's just terminology and concept. So we can have personal pronouns. We can have pronouns that refer to things, pronouns that refers to places. Okay, so we're going to have a look at all of them. So the first list that you have there in the first column is personal pronouns. Okay, so you have subject, which refer to the who of the action. Direct object, I'm going to call it D normally. So, and that refers to the what of the verb. So I bought flowers. What did I buy? Flowers. A pronoun would be them. I bought them. So them refers to the flowers or points to the flowers. The indirect object, which is the to or the for whom something happens, sort of like the dative in German or the dative in Irish, okay? So that's the to or the for whom, okay? These two in Spanish can be mixed up, and that's when a lot of the problems arise. But for now, we'll just say the what for direct and the to whom or for whom for indirect. They can work together, and then we normally have indirect first, indirect later. So I bought flowers for my grandma. I bought them for her. You have two there. In Spanish, that sentence becomes I bought for her them, always. The indirect always goes first. Reflexive pronouns, so myself, yourself. In English, you don't need them to make meaning. You normally just add meaning. In Spanish, they need to be there for actions that are done by the same person that receives them. So to wash, to wake up, all these verbs that you've learned. We'll have a look at them slowly. Sorry, I'm just going to turn my phone off. And then you can also have reflexive and direct in a weird way. Why? Because in Spanish, the sentence, I wash my hands, is possible. So I wash is reflexive, me lavo. But what do I wash? Yeah, myself, but also the hands. Okay, so I can say me las lavo. So reflexive first, direct later. So those combinations are possible as well, reflexive and direct. Okay, so I'm going to focus on these in this session mainly. We're also going to look at other pronouns, and by other pronouns I mean how do they work with prepositions? How do I say with me, with you, for him, for her, if I use the word para or por, okay? We're going to look at possessive. So we've seen adjectives, mi, tu, su, nuestro, vuestro, su. We briefly last year saw mine, his, hers, mío, tuyo, suyo. So I'm going to look at them a little bit more. Demonstratives, you've seen them, este, ese, aquel. The adjectives, what are the pronouns? I'll show them to you. The relatives are for this year, so this will be in the third session, and this will be an in-person session. Relativos and verbos that you say or that you slay, which was in the first semester. This is more from second year. Okay, so everything else is basically revision. Okay, so I'm going to continue. Sorry. So I'm going to start with the subject pronouns. You can't really see much there, but I've used a book called Schaum's Outline of Spanish Grammar, only because it's very drilling, so it's very easy very focused exercises for this kind of grammar topic. Okay, you can see the list like this in the book. So the subject pronouns yo, tú, él, ella, usted, nosotros, vosotros, ellas, ustedes. As you know, usted and ustedes are the formal in Castilla, in Spain, but in Latin America they are the common form. So in the most of Latin American countries wouldn't use tú or vosotros, which I'm marking here. Some of them use them as well, and some of them use vos, okay? It has a completely different conjugation, the vos for tú, okay? And I've left you if you open the PowerPoint on Canvas, you can click here. And if you really want to go, especially to Argentina, Uruguay, Nicaragua, Colombia sometimes, some areas of Colombia, you can learn this conjugation here, okay? So how do we use them? Okay, so we normally omit them. You've seen us saying tiene instead of ella tiene paciencia. They only show up if we really need to make sure that the person reading or listening needs to know it's she or he or usted, okay? So especially in the third person. So they normally can go, and importantly as well, sometimes they go inverted. So we say tiene ella. Okay, so instead of starting with the subject, we put it afterwards, almost like in Irish. Okay, so the other area where you have to be wary of them is in comparisons, and that's why I have an exercise on comparisons here. So we say él tiene más años que yo. He's older than me. We say than I always, and I know that's proper English, but you don't tend to use it. So we always use that second part of a comparison with one of these guys. Carlos recibe más cartas que tú, ellas son más ricas que nosotros, ella tiene tanto dinero como yo. So in all this, we would have to fill up this with the pronoun in question. So ella tiene más paciencia que yo, ellos viajan con más frecuencia que nosotros o nosotras, that one has gender. Carlos no lee tanto como tú, with a father on it, with an accent on it. Ella trabaja más horas que él, with an accent on it as well, to differentiate it from the word the. Él, tú with an accent we differentiate from the word your, tú. Nosotros tenemos más años que ellos o ellas. Él recibe tanta correspondencia como yo. Él tiene más tiempo que ella. And Guillermo es más alto que tú. And if you're from Latin America, you're probably going to say usted there, okay? You may have noticed that él here doesn't have an accent. This is old, because this book is older. Before the 90s, capitals didn't have accents because it was very difficult to do it on the typewriter. But once computers came in, capitals are needed, accents are needed on capitals as well. Okay, and you have the answers there if you want to do it later on your own. Let's go to the more difficult pronouns. So we have direct object pronouns. So as I said to you, they refer to the what. Okay, so they cover or they represent the what of the verb. That what can be people or can be objects or stuff. Okay. The set is mete, nosos, like everything, and then the main difference is him and her, which are lo and la and los and las, them. Okay. So I'm going to show you some examples on how they work. So Juan lee el libro. If I'm talking about the book for hours and I don't want to repeat it, I'm going to say he reads it. Lo lee. Look at the position in front of the first conjugated verb, and it's lo because libro is masculine. Carlos tiene los billetes, Carlos los tiene. So again, them, masculine. Now, be very careful with this one, because this is where sometimes in English it's kind of weird, because we're asking what. So Carlos ve a Roberto. So Carlos sees Roberto in English. What does he see? Roberto, okay? Roberto is a person, so I need this preposition that you have there, a, because it's the direct object of a verb is a person. I need a. I don't need it when I do it in the pronoun. Tomás lo ve. Tomás sees him, okay? The same for the next one, because we have people as well. El padre mira a sus hijos. El padre los mira, but here we have the a, so the father looks at his children. Okay. María busca la cámara, María la busca. Elena prepara las conferencias, Elena las prepara. Okay. So you did that in first year beginner, first semester. Let's have a look and see if you can actually do this exercise, okay? So you have a series of sentences there. Tomás mira a su hija, and what I'm trying to say now is looks at her. So I'm going to use la here. Tomás la mira. You can stop if you want and do it yourself and then check. I'm going to have the answers at the end as well. So Juan tiene las fotografías, so he has them, so las tiene. El padre acostó al niño, the father put the kid to bed. El niño is masculine, so el padre lo acostó. Ellas discutieron el problema es masculino, ellas lo discutieron. Él perdió la novela, so la perdió. Tenemos los billetes, los tenemos. Preparó la tarea, la preparó. Ellos han visitado a los abuelos, ellos los han visitado. El director fundó la escuela, el director la fundó y ella escribió las cartas. Perdón, ella las escribió. And you can see them there as well. Okay. Indirect object pronouns. So you've met them. The first time we introduce them to you is when we look at the verb gustar, because the verb gustar is weird in Spanish and it works as it is pleasing to me or for me. So it always uses an indirect object pronoun. Okay, so we never say I like. We say it is pleasing to me, me gusta. Okay, so gustar is conjugated with it, a, and me is for me or to me. Like in Irish is malum. Okay, it's good with me. So you have the explanation here of what it means, but it's basically the set is very similar to the previous one, mete and nosos, but the third person is a le and the third person plural is a les. So for him, for her, for them, yo le hablo a usted, yo le hablo a ella, yo le hablo a usted, yo le hablo a él. Les da los informes a ellos, les da los informes a ellas, les da los informes a ustedes. And you're wondering, why the hell do I have le a él? We can do it. It's repetitive, it's reduplicative, the same as in Irish you could say mi misa. You don't need to do it both, but we do it very often, especially when I want to clarify in one word like le, that is him or her or usted, okay? But sometimes we just do it for emphasis. So I can say, a mí me gusta, to me, is pleasing, okay? A mí me gusta, a ti te gusta, etc. So yeah, le di la carta a María, les mandó los informes a sus amigos. So you can see here, a María is here as well. It's just because it's clarifying that le is for this person. And the same here, les to my friends. Okay, so let's try the exercise. And we're going to change all these italics into the indirect object pronoun. So María would be le. So we could say, él le dijo la verdad. El cartero le dio las gracias a Juan. El señor González les habló a sus hijos. Yo le di un regalo a mi hermana. Ella les mandó el paquete. El profesor explicará la lección a las alumnas. El profesor les explicará la lección. Carlos le escribió una carta y el capitán les dio las órdenes a los soldados. Okay, so I have the answers here if you need them to revise that or if you want to try it again. So sometimes they can go together, as I told you. In fact, when we're in conversation, all these sentences probably would have become double because we have an object here. What did he say? The truth. Okay, so let's have a look at how that would happen. Okay, so they separate here, so you see it separate. So with me lo, te lo, nos lo. Okay, so me lo dijo, told it to me. So you can see the indirect always goes first. The it here is lo because it's just a whole thing. Like when we don't have a gender, we use the generic lo. It's a neutrum actually. Me lo dijo, nos los enseñó, this is them, the books or whatever. Te lo explicó. Okay, so indirect first, direct later. So here they've already given us one. You can see all the indirects. What they want us to do is double with this one. So Elena me mostró las fotografías. We're going to say she saw them, the photos, to me. So María me las mostró. We would have it right there. Me las mostró. Ella nos explicó la teoría, nos la explicó. Ellos te mandaron el paquete, ellos te lo mandaron, because it's it and it's masculine. Ella nos dio la cuenta, ella nos la dio. Él me devolvió el dinero, él me lo devolvió. Él no te dio los billetes, él no te los dio. No always in front of pronouns. El profesor nos la enseñó. El señor me lo vendió. Mi madre me la compró. Y ¿quién te dio las flores? ¿Quién te las dio? Okay, so that's how they would work together. All right. If the first pronoun is le or les, we have a further change. Okay, so if the first pronoun is le or les, we need to change that le to se or that les to se. It's just simply because it sounds awkward in Spanish to have lele, lelo, okay? So it becomes that se lo dice. And now, here's what we don't know. That se could be for a ella, a ellos, a ellas, a usted, a ustedes. Okay, so it could be for many, many things. So Carlos le dio la receta a su amigo, a su amiga. To say Carlos gave them recetas, recipes, to her, we need to go Carlos se las dio. Se las dio. El regalo is next. So yo se lo mandé. La lección, el profesor se la explicó. El abrigo, la madre, we don't have the pronoun but we need it, se lo compró. When we have a, we tend to have double pronoun. When we have para, we tend not to. That's just a colloquialism. Le dio, I shouldn't have said double. I should have said reduplication, repetitive pronoun. So you saw how here is le dio a. So this is the same information. This one clarifies it. Here with para María, I don't need le compró. I could have it, but it's rare. Se los dio, we said. We're going con el cuento, the story. Se lo leyó. The money. Se lo dimos. La casa. Se la vendió. El capitán se las dio. El jefe se lo pagó. Sueldo means salary. Labradores is agricultural workers. Se la explica. The rule. Y se las mostró. Okay. As I said, feel free to stop the video and do them on your own, and then double check them here and bring your questions to class. Finally, we have the set of reflexive pronouns, which you saw when you were studying routine verbs. Okay, so reflexive pronouns are me, te, again, nosotros again, but the third person is se. Himself, herself, and themselves is se. Okay? So, yo me llamo Juan. Nos lavamos la cara. ¿A qué hora te levantas? ¿Por qué no se peina? Él se viste de moda. Ellos se ponen la chaqueta. Nos cepillamos los dientes. Se baña ahora. ¿Por qué no te quitas la corbata? Me marcho enseguida. ¿Se sienta usted con nosotros? Nos acostamos tarde and se preparan para ir a la fiesta. Okay? So what I have here is quite interesting, as I said. So be careful because in Spanish they can have also a direct object, which in English couldn't happen because you just don't have these reflexives. So imagine a conversation like that. Me he lavado las manos. I have washed my hands. So we say I have washed myself the hands. And then the mom says, "Are you sure you've washed them?" Seguro que te las has lavado. So reflexive first and direct later. Sí, mamá, me las he lavado. Yes, mom, me las he lavado. So reflexive and direct. Andrés, dice el niño. Andrés, the kid is saying that he has washed them. Que se, reflexive, las ha lavado. Okay. And you're going to have these a lot with the verb like lavar because then you can use the parts of the body or brush. Or you can use it as well a lot with wearing or taking off. Poner or quitar. Quitar was here. Yeah, because you have la corbata, you have all the clothes there as well that can be used. Okay. I've left the answers as well there if you want to practice any further, and I've left 4 links to continue working with these kind of issues, especially these two at the end are the direct, indirect, and the reflexives if you want to have a little bit extra practice on that. Okay, thank you guys.